Hi everyone, my name is Anita Koumriqian, partner here at Alcorn Immigration. I wanted to take some time and discuss with you the changes in interviews in face of COVID here in the United States with USCIS. I wanted to take a couple of minutes and kind of paint a picture for you to show you how things are a little bit different in terms of social distancing and different protocols that USCIS has had to implement because of COVID. So the first and most basic thing that you have to deal with now is at time of interview, everybody has to be wearing a mask. So the USCIS officers will be wearing masks, agents, the security guards in the front, everybody will be wearing a mask in order to gain access into the building, and you will be required to wear a mask during the entirety of the time that you are at your interview. So it doesn't matter what kind of mask, as long as your face is covered during the interview. So kind of changes from start to finish on what you can expect going into an interview. So getting into the building, gaining access into the building, everything remains the same. In order to gain access into the building, the only way that you can get inside is by having an appointment. So you have to have that appointment notice, whether it's a biometrics appointment or whether it's an interview appointment. Before, there was more flexibility with biometrics where people could go in on a walk-in basis. There is no longer that flexibility. If you do not have an appointment with USCIS, you cannot enter the building. So again, to gain access, you have to have your interview notice as well as identification to show who you are and why you're gaining access into that building. Of course, in order to enter as well, you will have to be wearing a mask. And there is a poster board out front that asks questions regarding whether or not you have traveled outside of the United States in the last 14 days, whether you have a cold, fever, cough, anything of the like that could be symptomatic for COVID-19. So those are just umbrella questions that the security guards will be asking you upon entry into the building. As you get into the building, everything from there kind of proceeds normally. Before, individuals could enter the building usually about 30 minutes. Some people would even attend or get into the building an hour ahead of time. But now, depending on office to office, for the most part, you cannot gain access into the building or walk in any earlier than 15 minutes before your appointment slot. What I would recommend that you do is still get to that location at least 30 minutes ahead of time. It's better to wait in your car or wait outside for 15 minutes or whatever it is before you can get into the building. So if your appointment is at 1:30 p.m., go to the building, go to the area at 1 p.m. And if the guards out front tell you, sorry, you can't come in for another 15 minutes, so be it. You can just hang out there for an additional 15 minutes. Not a big deal. So once you get into the building, again, things kind of proceed as normal. You will notice that there's a lot more plexiglass barriers between you and whatever agents it is that you're going to be working with, whether it's an agent that's checking you in or whether it's the USCIS officer. So getting into the building, the first thing that you'll have to do after you get through security, of course, is checking in. Check-in is a little bit different now, whereas before you would have to give your documents to the agent. Some agents are asking you, just show me your documents from the plexiglass window. Some will say, here, I'll take the document to take a look at. Really all depends on agent to agent. And with that, it's just a matter of kind of following directions and ask what they want and just kind of taking their lead. If the officer only or the agent only wants to kind of just look at your notice, then just show them your notice. If the officer wants to take the notice, then give them that notice, whatever it is that they're requesting. One thing that has changed is at time of interview, they are no longer taking your biometrics a second time. So for the past several years at the USCIS interview, they would recheck your biometrics. They would take one fingerprint on each hand and they would take your photo again. They're no longer doing that. Again, could be different from office to office. My experience is with the local offices specifically in the Bay Area, and they are not taking biometrics. So just something to keep in mind. if the agent or officer asks you to take your biometrics, please keep in mind that that's possibly the only point in time where they will ask you to take off your mask. Otherwise, do not take your mask off. It's for the safety of yourself and the safety of others. So once you check in, the agents will let you know exactly where you have to go and wait, and then you have to just wait for the officer to come out and grab you from the waiting area to go back to the office. So again, nothing has changed there. You are still going to be going back to the officer's office in the back, and it's the same interview. Really, they will be asking you the same questions. Everything will go as a normal interview would go. What is different, however, is there is now a plexiglass barrier between the officer's side of the desk and the client attorney side of the desk. A little bit different there. Just a plexiglass barrier kind of makes it a little bit difficult for you to hear the officer. So if there's any issues with, maybe the officer is mumbling now because the officer is wearing a mask, if you're having difficulty hearing or understanding what the officer is saying, it's okay to say, "I'm so sorry, officer, I'm having trouble hearing you. Can you please speak up?" No issue or problems there. Advocate for yourself, or if, for example, if I'm sitting right beside you, I will ask the officer to speak up as well if you're having a difficult time hearing, or if I'm having a difficult time hearing. So that should not be an issue. The plexiglass barrier, there's just one. It's kind of rectangular, doesn't really do much other than just like a regular plexiglass, like when you're at a checkout stand at a grocery store. So it'll be there. There's no plexiglass barrier between attorney and client. So there's not much there to protect client and attorney, which is for the most part not a problem. Again, if you are exhibiting any symptoms and you are going to the interview with an attorney, let the attorney know, "I have not been feeling well. Maybe it's not a good idea for me to even go to this interview." USCIS is being flexible with interview reschedules during this time. So if you're not feeling well, please let your attorney know. If you're representing yourself, please contact USCIS and say, "I'm not feeling well. I would like to reschedule this interview." Or maybe you're just not comfortable with attending an interview because you fall under the maybe you're elderly, maybe you're already ill. So if there's any issues with that, it is okay to reschedule. USCIS is being flexible and understanding with that. Don't risk your health for an interview. Again, no barrier between attorney and client, and it's just a matter of again, kind of just taking things by with a flow and seeing what the officer is asking you to do. And other than that, the interview will carry on just as normal. Obviously, don't ask to shake the officer's hand at the beginning or the end. Maintain that social distance. And those are really the main changes with COVID. You will see that there is a significantly less amount of people in the building and just around at time of interview. Before, there was a lot of people in the offices, and now there's just not many individuals in office. A lot of the officers themselves are working from home. There's a specific amount that are in office just for interviews, and they're only conducting certain amount of interviews a day. So with those things in mind, go be safe, be healthy, attend your interviews. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll be here to support you the best way that we can. Thank you again, and take care.